NYYST.
Holla, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know where we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocketeer and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Promise that that's not a promise, yeah, that is a threat. You know that I promise to bring the team commas.
Back. This is episode 443 of the NYYST podcast. We're here live on NYY Underground. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm with Pete Simonetti. What's up, Pete?
What up?
So we're here live on NYY Underground Thursday night, a little bit after 8 o'clock, and we're replacing Sem with Sim here.
Okay, a little almost close to my nap time.
We, you guys in the chat here live tonight, you ran Sem off after what, 4 episodes?
4 episodes. Holy
Damn.
shit, this is a tough group of people in these damn chats we got. What a community.
Yeah, he's under the weather today. It's hitting his whole family right now, that post-Christmas flu that everybody seems to get. So we wish Sem the best. He'll be back next week, hopefully.
Get better, Sam.
But we're here live on NYY Underground, and unless you're literally under the ground and you played infield at some point in your career, the Yankees have been connected to you in this past week. So we're going to break every rumor down because the Yankees really still have that one hole to fill. Also, how realistic is Roki Sasaki to the Bronx? Yep. And I didn't bring this up to you in our pre-show meeting, but we can look at the Hall of Fame credentials. I wanted to do this with you. One, Andy Pettit and CC Sabathia. I think it's an interesting discussion that we could have. But before we do that, if you're live here in the chat on NYYU, please like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform on Friday morning, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Subscribe there as well. And tell everybody NYYST is the official Yankee podcast of Odyssey. All right. So I said, unless you're literally under the ground, that the Yankees have been connected to you if you play either second base or third base. In fact, before I came on here, I heard a rumor that Brian Cashman reached out to Greg Nettles' agent to see if he wanted to come out of retirement.
Yeah, look, I took some grounders at second and third the other day. The arm doesn't hold up too well at third base, but I already had one meeting, so I'm expecting that there's a good chance that I might be at spring training this year.
So I said this in our group chat, and I don't know, maybe my timelines are mixed up because the last 2 days have just been like a blur to me. Doesn't this feel like last offseason going into the trade deadline before the Yankees got jazzed, that they were literally connected to everybody. Infielder?
Yeah. And they have been. I mean, they really have been connected to everybody. And some of that got shut down today by Jack Curry, because everybody always says that. You hear from Passan and all these other guys, and when it comes to the Yankees, it's like, let's see what Hot Stove says. And today he shut down the biggest rumor out there. That was, of course, Luis Arraez. He kind of shut that one down. I was like, look, there's nothing there. He said they had a little bit of conversations early on, but there's nothing there at all.
Yeah, see, Luis Arraez is a very polarizing figure here.
Very much.
And I made a video on our NYYST TikTok I think Monday was like the first day that we kind of heard about this. So I made the video on Monday. And even in the comments, people are like, oh, he sucks. And then they're like, no, he's good. And it's like, I've never really seen a player polarize, the fan base like this. Because as I said in the video, it's not as simple as black and white as this is a good move, this is a bad move. Because, you take the head side of the coin, right? The guy's never hit, well, I believe he's never hit below 294 in his career. He's a consistent,
something along that,
He's a consistent 300 hitter. He's a isn't it now 3 years in a row he's won the batting championship?
He won it 3 years in a row.
So he's consistently one of the batting average wise the top hitter in the National League, because unless that maybe 1 year did he win it with Minnesota?
I think there was one. I'll double check right now and see exactly what he did it 3 years in a row. Minnesota, Miami, and then 314 last year. So yes, he has won the batting title 3 years in a row. 294 is the lowest he's ever batted. And
But-
the most times he struck out in a season is 48 times.
And I think he struck out 16 last year because I looked up his numbers. But
29 overall, but 18 times with San Diego.
is 18. That's
in
probably where I got it.
500 at bats.
18 with San Diego. I was looking at.
It's crazy.
But he doesn't. But that's the thing, though. He hits 314 and his on base was what, like 330 ish, 340.
314 actually. No, my bad. 346. 346.
Exactly. So there's a 30-point separation, which means that this is literally what he does. He hits singles. He doesn't hit for power. He doesn't walk. He hits singles, and that can be attractive. You want to go even if you just break it down to the littlest thing here. He gets on base 34% of the time, regardless of how he gets on base.
Correct.
You put that in front of Aaron Judge, that's pretty damn attractive because we had a guy that got on base at a 42% clip in front of him, and Aaron Judge had one of the greatest statistical seasons you'll ever see.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same thing, but, it's not the worst thing in the world to put that type of guy in front of Aaron Judge. Now you look at the tail side of the coin here. He doesn't run the bases well.
Nope.
And the Yankees are telling you that the reason that we lost the World Series is because we suck defensively, and not so many words. Those are my words.
Right.
So I looked this up yesterday. 274 players were given outs above average, on Baseball Savant. He ranked 271st out of 274.
Yeah, he's terrible defensively. No doubt about that.
So you got tired of Gleyber Torres' defense, and I think there's a lot of – we talked about this last week. There's a lot of other things that went into why the Yankees said goodbye to Gleyber Torres, but one of them was he's not a very good defensive player.
Yep.
This guy's the third worst defensive player in all of baseball at any position.
Yeah.
So that's a problem if you're trying to improve your defense, and you're telling us – now you're compounding that by telling us that Jazz Chisholm is a better second baseman. Now you're going to have to leave him at a position that he's not as good at. So, I mean, that's what I think. It is a very complicated situation. And like you said, Jack Curry did throw a lot of cold water on that today.
Oh, he finished it. He finished it. It's not happening unless something completely. What he basically again said is that early on there was talks. It didn't go anywhere, and it hasn't gone anywhere, and it's not expected that it would. So he kind of said everybody else just blew it out of proportion, and that was it.
Because, and I said in my video that ultimately, if it comes down to it, I would need to see what the return would be.
Of course, that's the main thing.
I'm not overpaying for Luis Arraez. This is not a situation like last year where we traded for a 1-year rental with San Diego, and you had to go above and beyond to do that. This is not that type of situation. No. So I would need to see what they're asking in return.
Yeah.
Number one.
For me, sorry, go ahead.
And number two, the reason why I'm like, I would say 52-48, I would do it.
Yeah.
Because I cannot sit down at 2:45 or whenever the hell it's going to be on opening day when Paul Olden gets behind the mic and reads us the lineup for opening day on March 27th, and he announcing either DJ LeMahieu or Oswaldo Cabrera playing. I cannot hear that.
So that's what makes it. That's what makes you again lean that way. Here's why I would. And again, it's funny because I've spoken about this a lot. A lot of people in the chat felt the same way about Luis Arraez. And I say one thing very, very simple. For me, if the Yankees didn't get Cody Bellinger and improve defense in the outfield, they didn't get Paul Goldschmidt that improves defense in the infield, then I would have trouble. Now, I did the eye test with Jazz last year. The metrics didn't like him at third base. I liked him at third. I thought he showed a lot of range. I think it's a position where if he worked at it a little more, he'll get better and he'll just continue to improve and improve. I mean, his numbers are off the charts at second base, so I understand why the Yankees want to put him back there. But just for the sake of conversation, something that doesn't seem like it is going to happen, I'd look past everything else. If I'm getting a guy like Luis Arraez, who I don't care about his power, I'm caring only about him batting leadoff for the Yankees and getting on base at that 340 plus clip. For Judge, for Bellinger, for Stanton, for Goldie. I'm turning an eye and I'm looking away from the poor defense. Is there going to be plays that he's going to miss that could affect the club? 150%. But he's one of those guys where I'd have to turn my head around and just go, look, reminder that you wanted this and I'll be happy to put my hands on fire and say, hey, look, man, he's a guy I wanted. So if I bitch and moan and complain during game season, then, say, Pete, this is what you want. And remember, I can't necessarily walk away from such a strong offensive presence added to this club when the current options are DJ LeMahieu. I mean, I just can't. I can't sit back in my right mind and go, I'll pass. Now, depending on now, if they're asking for a Jason Dominguez or a Spencer Jones and something like that, then hell no. We'll figure something out. We got a deadline that'll come up at the trade deadline, of course, to improve our infield if we need to. But yeah, man, knowing that it's not going to happen makes it easier to simply just go, all right, it is what it is. I don't even know if he gets traded at all. Maybe he does. But Andy Martino also said, you know how Andy Martino is, he had to throw the Mets in there too. Well, the Mets are interested. So, I mean, I don't know what the overall cost would be. I think he only has this year. But
he's a free agent at the end of the year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The infield to me is the final piece that everybody wants to know about. And then the other name that was tossed out today was Jorge Polanco, who a few years ago, you could look at him and think this is one of the more underrated players in baseball. Going back to 2021, the guy hit 33 home runs, had a 503 slugging, 826 OPS. Hasn't been that same guy since then. He had knee surgery last year, but honestly, out of all the options free agent wise that's available, he's definitely the best option that's left. And Curry did say the Yankees have significant interest.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do something. I can't, like I said,
No doubt.
can't deal with DJ LeMahieu being in the opening day lineup unless
No.
unless the entire team had typhoid fever and he was the only one left standing, and I still wouldn't want to deal with that situation. I don't even know how the Yankees can function as a team with him being on the active roster. Like, that's another problem that they have to solve somehow. I'm sure he'll break another foot in spring training, so we might not have to even worry about it. But
just don't sell us on him, man. And look, I got nervous already about it because Brian Hoke already wrote an article on MLB.com about it, about the bounce back of DJ LeMahieu. Why there's people that believe it.
He's such a shill.
It's the Yankees propaganda machine, and nobody wants to hear that, man. Look. Would anybody be mad if DJ LeMahieu? Everybody likes DJ LeMahieu. I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, I really hate this guy. We don't like him as the performer that he's been the last couple of years. But at the end of the day, look, I'd be excited if DJ LeMahieu had a bounce back year. But I'm not depending on it. I'm not counting on it. Hell, I'm not even giving him the shot at this moment.
But that's the thing. Exactly. Do you want to give DJ LeMahieu the run to show you that he can even be a 260 hitter anymore?
Bro, I told you, I would give Yo Moncada a friggin' chance before I'd run him back out. If Moncada gets hurt, then you play him. I'm not giving him just hey, third base is yours. Don't worry about it. Come into spring training. He's not deserving of that. It's not right. At the end of the day, you could make a friggin' argument for Oswaldo Cabrera over him if that's the case. Like, if you really want to get down to it, you can make a strong argument in that case instead. So for me, it's a no, man. You got to go do something else. You got to figure something out. And by the way, too, Oswaldo's name is actually coming up with some other clubs.
I saw that. And if anybody wants to trade for Oswaldo Cabrera, let me know the nearest airport, because I will absolutely drive him there. And there's nothing. Listen, there's nothing against. I have nothing against Oswaldo Cabrera. I think every championship team needs a guy like that you can plug and play in different positions. He's a switch hitter. I don't hate him, right? I think fans completely overrate Oswaldo Cabrera. They think he's something more than what he actually is.
Yeah. And he's good for what he is. As a bench player, he's fine.
He can't. This is what I argue with people about all the time. He is not a starting player. Do you want to know why we had to trade Michael King and Drew Thorpe and all of our pitching depth to San Diego last year? Because this is how bad our outfield situation was. Yeah. Oswaldo Cabrera won the starting left fielder job in spring training in 2023.
Think about that. Yep.
That's how bad it was. And then what was his OPS plus in 2023? Wasn't it like 58, if I'm not mistaken?
It's horrible. It was really, really bad. It was really bad.
I can't look. It's nice if you need a guy to come in, and if you like, let's say the Yankees did get Luis Arraez and you wanted Oswaldo Cabrera to caddy him.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah, and
Or
I
you
could
know, if
also
Volpe went down, you know, in a 10-day IL stint for Volpe, and you needed that's fine. But
yeah.
people that think that this guy should be playing every day, I don't know what anybody has actually watched in the 3 or 4 years that he's been here that thinks he's warrants being an everyday player.
Yeah,
Honest.
true, and I could also see the Yankee standpoint potentially, and by all means, they haven't gave Oswald Peraza any chance at all. But maybe they feel like if there was something of value that we could move Cabrera for, then Oswald Peraza could easily just jump in that role. That's the only thing that I could see them doing, considering I think I want to say, and we got Yankees Farm in the chat. He'll probably know, but I feel like
He's out of options.
Out of options.
I did
yeah.
read that somewhere. If he doesn't
he's
make the
out of
club out of
options.
spring training, he's subject to waivers.
So that's the thing. I mean, they might be seeing it that way as, you know, if we could get something of value, maybe a lefty reliever that they feel like, you know, the pitching staff could work with a bit and get them better. And you make a move like that, and the Peraza just jumps right into that role potentially.
So in 2023, when Oswaldo Cabrera won, he won the job coming out of spring training.
Yeah.
His on-base percentage was 275, slugged 299, had an OPS of 574 with the OPS plus at 58. That's when he got the most. That's when he got his run right there.
That's tough.
And even last year, in 108 games, 326 plate appearances, I'm sorry, his OPS plus was 87. That's half a season he basically got.
It's not good. That's not good. And then just to finish off on that entire tweet, the quote from Jack Curry was, they do have interest in Polanco. I do believe they're trying to shed salary, Marcus Stroman. Things could get interesting. So I don't know exactly what the could get interesting part could actually be, but obviously I think we all agree that Marcus Stroman has a pretty solid chance of being
when
moved.
you say shed salary, just say trade Marcus Stroman.
Exactly, because that's the only real thing they're going to do. They're not going to. No, I don't think anybody's trading for LeMahieu to shed salary, so that's not happening.
And I mean, what you could. I know people like Trent Grisham are really a dime a dozen guys that are fourth outfielders that play defense and don't hit. I mean, what do you know? You're still gonna have to pay somebody. So what are you gonna save $3-4 million there? I mean, that's not
it's
really
not significant. I think moving Stroman makes it a bit significant because at the end of the day, he gets paid $18 million. Even if the Yankees pay down $5 million, and you know they're still saving 13 overall, you can still easily go out there and make a move and still stay under 301.
But that's the thing. You have to trade him because what is he going to do here? He's going to make $18 million to mop up games?
I mean, yeah. I mean, what right now, he's the sixth starter. I mean, depending on whatever happens with Roki, we have no idea right now what's actually going to happen. We're going to know in about a week and a half. We'll have not an idea. We're going to know. It's interesting, man. I mean, I don't want to see him coming out of the bullpen. And look, I don't think at the end of the day, Marcus Stroman wants to do that. Now, there was a rumor the other day that San Diego is interested in Marcus Stroman. Well, ship him away. I mean,
I did hear San Diego. I read that. I think I saw a tweet today.
I could see San Diego, and I could also see the Giants. I think the Giants make sense. A bigger ballpark. Stroman does still keep the ball on the ground pretty well. I mean, his biggest problem is you can't fall behind batters the way he does with his stuff. And he does it far too often, especially in the second half of the year where he was just 3-1, 2-0, in bad counts against everybody. He doesn't have the stuff to put anybody away.
Well, I think I was talking. I think it was Francis I was chatting with in our group chat about maybe partially was due to the Yankees defense, which I can see, but he also tops out at 89 now, so he doesn't. He can't challenge anybody when he does fall behind.
Would he have done better? Yeah, probably. I think the Yankees infield wasn't that good last year. I think he would have done better, but would he have still had a good year? I don't think so.
He wasn't
terrible.
That
big of it. No, early in the year he was good, but Marcus Stroman, that's who he's been the last couple of years. He has a very good start, and then he just tails off. I think he's a bit of a smaller build guy too. Maybe he gets a little tired, a little exhausted, but he really took a dip last year. When he got bad, he was bad.
Do you think his turning point was the game that he yelled at Glaber? I feel like that's kind of also when he started going downhill in
He
the
did start
season.
going downhill a bit after that. Yeah, he did. He did.
Look at the like every
The Glaber curse on Marcus.
look. I mean, it just doesn't make financial sense or roster construction sense, any type of sense at all to pay a guy $18 million that doesn't have a role on this team. It's not like DJ LeMahieu's making 16 or whatever it is, and you could find you. I can't even try to rationalize how you're going to use DJ LeMahieu, but you can't have two guys like that on this team paying $34 million to two guys that are going to have their asses glued to the bench all season.
No, man, you give Marcus away, and somebody, I don't know who it was in the chat, but they brought up a really good point. The Yankees have a lot of right-handed relievers. Attach a decent reliever to him and see if a team would take the majority of that contract. Somebody in the chat, I forget who it was, but they mentioned Ian Hamilton as a name. Maybe you move him along with a Marcus Stroman to a club and get a team to pay maybe the majority of that salary. But the Yankees could, look, you got Scott Efros you can move, Mark Leiter you can move also in a deal like that.
Call me crazy, dude. I don't want to trade Mark Leiter after the postseason.
I still want his ass gone, bro. I can't stand that friggin' dude. I can't friggin' stand.
I would trade Scott Efros.
His pitch mix, man. Like his body language on the mound, I just can't get with. I'm like, yeah, Scott Efros is a guy that terrifies the shit out of me. I don't think we'll ever see the guy that we saw when he originally came here. I don't know what the surgery did to him. Maybe it just takes call me ignorant. Probably does take a bit of time, but I don't know, man.
I never was in love with that trade to begin with.
Yeah.
And then now we haven't seen him in what has it been 2 years.
Yeah. We saw him last year, and you didn't want to see him after what he looked like. He looked horrible.
It was I always mess this kid's name.
Wesneski.
Yeah, he was the one that got traded for Efros.
Yep.
And he was part of the package to the Astros for Kyle Tucker.
Yep. Yep, that's exactly what it was. And then, a guy like him he has good stuff coming out of the pen, but we also do have quick breaking news here. Nothing too crazy, but Devin Williams and the Yankees agree on a 1 year, $8.6 million, projected at about 7.5. He gets up to 8.6. So I think he's the last of the Yankees that need to make a deal. I believe he was the last guy.
Well, Jazz got almost a little over 5.5 he got earlier today.
Yeah, he was projected closer to 7 also.
Yeah, Devin Williams was MLB Network put out their top 10 relievers list yesterday, and he came in at number 1.
He's filthy.
I know a lot of Yankee fans are making a big deal about his postseason numbers, but he pitched in, I think it's only 3 or 4, no more than 4 games he's pitched in. So,
and look, for a reliever, look at Class A. Class A gets absolutely obliterated by the Yankees. That ERA is going to be shit for a long time.
Well, he got obliterated by the friggin' Tigers too. So it's
he
now. Did. So this is David Douglas with the super chat. Just get Moncada, like Pete mentioned, low cost, high upside, no risk.
Okay. If there's nothing else available, look, as I've said many times, I want anybody out there over DJ LeMahieu.
You can't, man. I'm sorry. DJ LeMahieu cannot be on he's going to be on the opening day roster. He can't be in the opening day lineup. It just can't happen, man. It'll to me, it's going to ruin the offseason. And I hate saying that because, we've all been harsh critics of Brian Cashman. And I think it's fair to say the Yankees have done a good job post Soto. You lose a guy like that in a free agent class that's not amazing. And to be able to do what they've done already so far, look, you got to give your flowers at times, and the Yankees front office deserves a bit of credit. But I want them to finish strong. Well, maybe
I want them to finish strong, man.
This could be part of the reason. I know this is from a while ago or like earlier today, but Arraez settled on $14 million. Could be part of the reason too.
Could be.
I'm just saying, when you look at all the other options out there, and like I said this to you guys yesterday, I'm not making a big deal about Ahmed Rosario, but 1 year and $2 million feels like that's something that they could have been in on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt about it. I like Rosario. He's a guy who's played in the American League, puts the ball in play, got good speed, pretty good defender. There's been multiple, minor names like that. I almost feel like, to be honest, it almost feels like one of those situations where Brian Cashman has something in mind. that he's waiting to strike on. It really does feel like one of those moments where, look, the Yankees had a friggin' chip on his shoulder at the Soto left. I think everybody knows that. They seem like they were determined to do something good. And I don't know, look, I don't want to get it. I've said this 100 times. Even today I did a video on this. I am not looking to get anybody's hopes up on Roki Sasaki. To this day, I don't believe he's going to be a Yankee. But holy shit, if that guy became a Yankee, I'm talking about offseason part 2 is about to begin. Because what they do after that is going to be extremely interesting. There could be moves that Brian Cashman has already talked about with players that we didn't even know about. And maybe those deals would involve a Clark Schmidt or LeMahieu. And they're just holding off on that because they don't want to make that move until they see what happens with this.
Well, that's the thing.
You never know, man.
That's more what I wanted to talk about with Sasaki than, could he potentially, who knows? I now that we're in this era that all the Japanese players seem to want to migrate out west, we're past the whole Tanaka Matsui thing where they craved the spotlight in New York and they really want to be out west now. It just seems
shout
like
out to Kodai Senga who broke that mold.
He did. He
said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself. Damn it."
So, if the Yankees feel like they're in on Sasaki, and let's say hypothetically he does come here, right? Is he a finished product? Can he step into the rotation and be? We'll just say, for argument's sake, can he be the 5th starter this year?
Yeah, I think he could. I mean, look, I've known about Roki for a long time. We have a follower here from Japan that sent me a long email about him yesterday. Always does it with a lot of Japanese players that maybe could be of interest at some point. And he mentioned that basically the word around there is that if he did come to the East Coast, it would be the Yankees that he would play for. And maybe this is one of those situations where, well, we reported on this. Los and a few of Los's people reported on this last offseason, and their understanding back then was it's the Dodgers. So we'll see what happens there. But to answer your question, the 5th starter is probably where you would want him to be. One, because innings are going to be an issue. The most innings he's ever thrown is 129. And before that, I think it was a little into the 120s, but the year, maybe 2023, he threw 90-something innings. He's a guy that is no doubt about it. He's a finished product in regards of getting major league hitters out. He can do that. There's no denying that. He's just going to have to be somebody to keep an eye on. And would he make a start every 5 days? Maybe not, because I know Yamamoto does like the 6-day thing. So there could be ways that they'll work on that. But yeah, I wouldn't sit back and expect that, Roki Sasaki comes here and he's going to give you 150 plus innings out the gate. I don't know if he's going to do that, but to add an arm like that, I mean, holy shit, that
it's not going to cost anything, right?
Club. It's going to cost dick. I mean, it's going to be nothing at all. You're talking about IFA money. I had somebody, and a lot of people still don't get that. Well, how are the Yankees going to afford him? It's international pool money. I mean, he gets to choose where he goes. That's how it works. So that's why the decision is so interesting, because it really is up to him.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Yankees did pick him up, because would the Yankees, I don't know, play around with the rotation a little bit? Obviously, you're going to keep Cole and Fried every 5th day. You're going to want them to not miss turns. Probably the same thing with Rodon, but Schmidt was hurt last year. He's going to maybe. Do they feel that he can go to a certain number? What about Heel? Because whether or not anybody wants to admit it or not, he did fade down the stretch. Maybe now he is built up.
Yeah.
So maybe the Yankees do feel comfortable with him giving them 180. But then, does Heel and Schmidt become expendable now? Let's say if they did get Roki Sasaki, which brings up a larger point. Who is even out there that you would want to trade for either of those guys? Because to me, the guy was Kyle Tucker, and obviously that's not going to happen now. So
I think that's the great question is, who would be available? And I think based off the clues that we've gotten, the Yankees like Jazz at second base. So what the hell third baseman is out there that teams are saying, yeah, we'll make this deal? Because look, is it a possibility that a Heel becomes available or Schmidt becomes available and the team goes, all right, for one of those guys, we'll make one of these guys available. But I don't know who's really out there. that you would, I trust me, I've seen the message about J-Ram, and I mean, would the Guardians even consider moving him right now? I don't know.
I mean,
said
yeah,
Ryan
obvious.
McMahon. Do you want to move a top starter for Ryan McMahon?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yes, if Jose Ramirez is available, yes, I'm trading.
Of course, for anything.
Yes, I'm trading one of those guys for him because that completely transforms this team. This team is officially 100%. You're dumb if you argue against it better than last year's team. If they got,
no question about it.
Got Jose Ramirez on this
if they added a big bat like that, or hell, like I said, Brian Cashman comes through with one of his surprises that he makes out of nowhere, then yeah, I mean, this team is going into the year. Everybody should be fucking out their mind excited for what this club has a chance of being.
But are the Yankees? That's another thing you could look at. Have the Yankees not traded Marcus Stroman yet because they think that they can get Sasaki? And all right,
could be that.
We'll trade one of these two. We'll trade Clark Schmidt, we'll just say for argument's sake, for a bat, and then Sasaki can take the fifth, and then we'll have Stroman work himself in when we need him here.
I mean, that's a possibility too. I was gonna say that. I mean, a lot of times we hear that they get a guy like Sasaki, so that means they're gonna trade Heel or Schmidt. It's possible they don't trade either one of those guys, and they hold on to him just because they know that maybe they got to do some shenanigans with the starting rotation, and all those guys are going to have opportunities to start. So you really never know. I mean, especially if they were to trade Marcus Stroman over the next couple of days, then it is thin, because at that point, if you were to trade one of Heel or Schmidt, you get Sasaki in, and you do trade Marcus Stroman also, well, then your sixth starter is Will Warren, potentially.
Yeah,
that becomes scary.
Chris and I argued about that a lot over the summer. I think he does have the stuff to be a major league pitcher. Now, whether or not he ever puts it all together is a different story. But yeah, right now with him being your next in line, should something happen, is not the most comfortable feeling in the world. But right now, Marcus Stroman is the next in line, and that's not a comfortable feeling either. But your sixth starter is your sixth starter for a reason, right? Last year it was Luke Weaver, and look what ended up happening with him. He never.
Right. And Chase Hampton is going to be back fully healthy this year, so you'll have him in AAA. You got Brock Selvage not far away. So they do got young arms there. Cody Petit, they dealt. But of course, look, the Yankees could always find AAA depth just in case, if that was the situation. But I do believe Marcus Stroman probably does get dealt either way. I think he's a name that could be moved at any time.
He has to, man. He's not going to be happy in that role.
I was going to say, I also think just to avoid any type of problem or situation with Marcus Stroman, and not saying that he's a problem starter or anything like that, but the guy's at a point of his career where he's probably sitting there going, I still want to be a starter. If I'm not a starter on this team, then go ahead and move me. It's not like his salary is insane. It's not. $18 million for a starter isn't crazy. And there's no doubt about it, that's a movable contract.
Charlie Morton just got $15 million, and he's like 62 years old.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not some insane thing. And I think the best thing the Yankees could do is move him.
Because he's got that vesting option as well. And what is it, 140, I think?
I think it's 140, yeah.
He starts sniffing that. The Yankees are going to find things wrong with him.
Of course. Yeah, he would never. There's no way in hell they'll let him get that.
So if you don't want him this year, why are you even going to put yourself in a position where now you're going to play games and potentially get yourself in trouble with the Players Association?
Yep.
It just makes the most sense in the world
to move on
here. And, I tried to, we were live when the signing broke last year, and I tried to talk myself into it. And for half the season, it worked, and then it didn't. So, I mean, all you need to know is that the Yankees had a fully healthy guy that they paid $18 million to, was on the roster throughout the entire postseason in the year they made it to the World Series, and didn't throw one pitch.
That tells you what they think of him right now. So, I mean, move on, man. It's not that hard. He's, like you said, too, if he's your sixth starter or somebody else's, who cares? One is just getting paid a whole lot more. And it's obvious that the Yankees want to get rid of that salary. So figure out a way, man. And they do have a lot of right-handed relievers. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They could attach somebody to him to get a team to eat a little more of the contract if they're not willing to. So This is the
Somebody won't
times that
take him
Brian
for-
Cashman needs to be creative.
Bro, somebody won't. Honestly, if you really look at it, like no one's going to take him for $10 million if he was on the
Hell
open
yeah.
market.
Come on, man, easy. And he would get more than that in the open market. I
But
mean,
that's what I'm saying. And the
Yeah,
Yankees were
no
like, all
doubt.
right, we'll pay $8 million of it and just give us something that Matt Blake can go play with on the weekends. And
of course, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. The Yankees can move him, and if it is a team like I like, look, I don't know what the return is. I don't think anybody should be overly excited about what a return would be for him. The main thing with him is getting rid of the money. Getting rid of the money, and maybe that opens up doors for other moves that Cashman's working on, because that's the other thing. Hal Steinbrenner could be sitting there going, look, we didn't get Soto. That's the only guy I was going to go over for. We've had a great offseason, but there's nobody out there I want to go over 301 for. I think everybody agrees on that. Cashman may have something lined up, and he goes, I gotta get to a certain point where the money works. And if he's able to move Stroman, maybe that deal takes place. He's done this before. It wouldn't be nothing new, where Stroman gets dealt and then another move is made almost immediately after. So that wouldn't shock me.
no, it wouldn't. But yeah, I think that's one of three things the Yankees have to do in the remaining until they get to spring training. And if they get an infielder in here, they have to get a left-handed reliever because they have zero right now.
Yeah.
And they got to trade Marcus Stroman.
That's the thing too, man. There's still good options out there in the lefty reliever market. I mean,
Is
you got
Tim
Hill
Hill
out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is Tim Hill pricing himself out of the Yankees?
That shit's weird to me, because Tim Hill was like a late inning reliever for the Yankees, not even a lefty specialist. He was like a go-to guy.
You called every game that the Yankees had in the postseason this year. I obviously, I don't know how much I actually watched. I was having panic attacks through most of the postseason, but this guy, I mean, outside of Luke Weaver, name somebody that got bigger outs for the Yankees out of the bullpen in the postseason than Tim Hill.
He was huge. I mean, Tim Hill was huge all year. If you look at his numbers, he might have been the best of his career, what he did with the New York Yankees last year. So I'm actually shocked that nothing has happened there yet. And then there's other name. AJ Minter is probably the highest one that would be in the Yankees range. Obviously, I'm not talking about Tanner Scott because he's going to be a closer somewhere.
Yeah, they got
Would it be
Devin
the
Williams
Yankees?
already, so it's not feasible.
I'm not even thinking about that. AJ Minter's been very, very good. I don't know what the price tag is there. And then you also got what's his face?
Yeah, people have been bringing up Andrew Chafin. I read like
Chafin.
Tim. Why wouldn't we just get Tim Hill then?
You might as well. I mean, yeah, I would prefer that Tim Hill just comes back.
We know Tim Hill works here, and I'm willing to take a chance on the regression if we're being honest.
And he's also a ground ball pitcher. I mean, that's the other thing too. Chafin is not. Chafin's a guy that puts the ball in the air. I mean, for the Yankees and for what it seems like they're looking to go for this year is ground ball pitchers, heavy sinker ballers, then go ahead and bring Hill back. Why the hell not?
Yeah, you don't want fly ball pitchers at Yankee
No,
Stadium. I
not
mean,
at all, not
that's
at
the
all.
one thing about Garrett Cole. Even when he's Garrett Cole, he still gives up a ton of home runs because he's a fly ball pitcher,
Yep.
So, a guy like, that's what I'm saying. Tim Hill in the Yankees, it's like, I like you, you like me. Why haven't we gone out on a date yet? It's like, what are we?
Yeah, it works.
What are we waiting?
If it works so well, why the hell? What's waiting? What's the holdup here?
Are you waiting because you think the prom queen is going to ask you out? She's not.
And that's
Settle.
the other thing too. Nobody else has, taken that. that
This
risk on
it's
Tim Hill,
honestly
which is
this
kind of
reliever
interesting.
market is really weird because
It's not
it's not moving it for at all. Like outside of Devin Williams was a trade, but what other big move has really happened with the relievers this year?
Nothing.
Because
Nothing
you
at
got who's the other guy that got traded? He was with the Angels. He got traded to Philly. He was the closer there. Estevez.
Estevez. Yeah, he's still out there.
He's still out there.
Hoffman's still out there. I mean, you got some of the better relievers on the market by far.
I mean,
the
Tommy
reliever
Ca-
market's been good.
Tommy Kahnle's no bag of dog shit either. He's still sitting there. I mean, how much could he possibly be asking for that a team couldn't use him in the seventh inning?
Yep.
So, a lot of those guys are probably going to start being picked off the board, I would say, within the next couple of weeks here.
No doubt. They'll go very quick. Well, once one of those things happen, it'll go really quickly. The other thing that was brought up on Hot Stove that I think is extremely interesting, And maybe the Yankees go this route. Maybe they don't. You guys have heard me. Everybody in the chat has heard me kind of knock this down for a long time because I keep saying I don't believe the Yankees would ever do it. But on Hot Stove today, they kind of mentioned that Jason Dominguez has a shot of potentially being the leadoff hitter for the Yankees. And the balance of the top of that order, to me, is friggin' phenomenal. Because I don't know how you feel about what the Yankees did last year, but I wouldn't break away from Judge batting third and having a lefty in front of him to protect him. Dominguez, Bellinger, Judge, that excites the shit out of me.
So you're going left, right then, because he's going to bat left-handed most of the time.
Majority, I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look, I'm okay with going lefty, righty if they weren't a switch hitter leading off and they hit lefties well. So I love that. I love the concept of that. I don't want to go away from that.
You like Judge staying in the 3-hole?
I love Judge staying in the 3-hole, especially with somebody. Look, if it depends on the move that they were to make. I believe so much in Jason Dominguez being the type of player I know he could be, that the potential of the 1, 2, 3 in the lineup, I think, could be stupid good. And I think Bellinger's gonna. A lot of people are kind of selling on Bellinger, man. I think Bellinger can have a really good year.
I said this last week. I think he's going to absolutely bang in New York for the Yankees.
I can see it, man.
I'm a little less on Paul Goldschmidt, but I don't know what it is, man. Sometimes I get feelings about players, and sometimes I'm completely wrong. But I don't know. I just have a feeling about Cody Bellinger having I'm not saying he's going to be 2019 MVP Cody Bellinger. Right. But a 30 home run season this year.
Shock me. That wouldn't shock me at all. I like both of them, man. I am. I don't know if maybe I'm just turning into like optimistic Pete here, but I like both of those guys, man. I don't know if you ever saw the spray chart, Goldie's spray chart last year with Yankee Stadium behind it.
Yeah, his numbers would go up.
I mean, if he's the same type of hitter and the same type of player, the way he goes to right field is going to be very effective at Yankee Stadium. I don't know if you remember. Well, you do remember, obviously, when Luke Voit was in his prime and he was like, holy shit, this guy's actually a pretty damn good hitter. I'm not comparing these two guys. But the one thing the Yankees liked about Voit was how easily he goes to right field.
Right.
Goldschmidt hits bullets to right field, and some of those are going to scrape right over the right field wall. I think he has a chance to have a pretty damn good year.
You know, and Joel Sherman, whose opinion I do respect, he said that he talked to a lot of NL Central people, and none of them said that that guy was done.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his last 30 games, he hit like 330. Second half of the year, well over 270. Almost like his regular numbers again. I just think he's a professional hitter. He knows what his game is, and I do believe Yankee Stadium fits him very well.
I just don't want people to sit here and say, well, as long as he's not the worst first baseman, it's an improvement from last year.
No. We went from the worst. We got to get back to the, top 10 offensive talents at first base, and he could easily do that.
If
he could be one of those guys.
I need an OPS of like 810, give me, something. That's what I need out of that guy.
Yeah, and he's a big doubles guy too. I mean, like I said, and if you watch a lot of Goldie, I mean, he goes to right field very, very well, and I think it's gonna pay a lot. He's also not needing to be the man here. Here's a guy.
What's he gonna bet? What do you think he bats?
5, 6? Yeah, you would think 6 more than likely. I mean, if you're going Dominguez, if this is what they do, Dominguez, Bellinger, Judge. Because here's what I don't want. Don't give me Dominguez, Judge, Bellinger. Don't switch off on what worked last year. The offense was so good, and I'm not saying that Cody Bellinger is Soto. I understand that. But keep it the way it is. It worked so well having somebody that could protect, that Aaron Judge can protect the number 2 hitter and give him the same opportunity you gave Soto. I don't want to come off that. I don't like the idea that you could pitch around Judge to go after Bellinger. I feel like it's going to slow the entire offense down. I really don't want to see them do that, man. Let Judge be the guy. Let him be the 3-hole hitter, which I do believe Judge commented on. He said he really likes batting third. So maybe that's something they will keep. And give Bellinger the same opportunity that Soto got and see if it works the same way.
And then you go in Stanton Jazz?
I'd probably do Stanton Jazz, yeah. And I'd keep the bottom of that order with Wells and those guys down there. To
Goldie, Wells, Volpe 7. 9. Yeah, I would keep Volpe. I like Volpe 9.
That's what I do. I keep him 9. I take some of the pressure. I know some people go, bat Wells 4th. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to bat him, in between Judge and Stanton. I understand why somebody may want that, but I would leave him lower in the order. Have that 7, 8, and 9 be 7, 8, and 9 should be pretty productive for the Yankees. Try to keep those guys down there.
Right now, 8 would be DJ LeMahieu.
Oh my God.
But I would love to roll the lineup over with Volpe 9, Dominguez, and then Cody into Judge. That's how I would.
It'd be phenomenal. And look, if Volpe ever had, which again shouldn't shock anybody if he has a better year than last year. I think there's a good chance he does that. He could be extremely effective. And look, if Jason Dominguez is anything that we believe and he is projected to be, I even think his projections this year from whatever company that everybody looks at was actually pretty good. So even if he was slightly above average, the Yankees they're setting themselves up to be a way better offense.
Yeah.
Hard to say that, shockingly, but if people forget, Soto's out, yeah, but if those other guys step up a little bit, have slightly better years, they're a better offense.
This is make or break though for Anthony Volpe, man. If he's another,
I feel that way.
If he's a 600 OPS guy again this year, then
that's who he is.
That's who he is. I mean,
your expectation shouldn't really ever grow at all. He's going to be this, top prospect that a lot of people thought he would be, and he's again because Anthony Volpe was never a fielding first prospect. It's never who he was. The Yankees kind of moved the goalpost a little bit. We're talking about his defense so much now. He was a bat guy. Anthony Volpe was this known bat. He's dynamic with the bat, and we just haven't seen that player.
No, and the reason, and who is this? Angelo Productions with the super chat. 2023 Yanks got no left fielder. 2025 Yanks will have no third baseman. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, that's and that's another thing that I've talked about at different times is, are the Yankees waiting till they get to spring training? Guys get released, rosters get crunched. Maybe somebody becomes available. I don't like waiting until the trade deadline because as it's obvious now that everybody and their mother thinks they're still alive with the expanded wild cards. I mean, you can probably look at out of the 30 teams, you can pick the 4 that are definitely going to be out, and everybody else will probably still be within 4 or 5 games of a wild card come late July. So,
yeah,
this is something the Yankees are going to have to figure out before opening day, and they're going back to Volpe. Like the one thing that gave me hope for him is he did have a really strong postseason.
He did.
The games were the biggest. He played his best so far as a Yankee. But we've also had him seen these 3-4 week sample sizes where he looks like a friggin' all-star, and then he can't hit a ball into the ocean. That's how terrible that he is. So I don't know. Was he on one of his 4-week hot streaks, or did he rise to the moment? I like to believe that he rose to the moment, because how you're going to close that gap of what you got out of the 2-hole last year is by Anthony Volpe ascending to a guy that is a 260, 270 hitter that has an OPS closer to 750 than in the 660s like it was last year. That's part of how you do that.
The main thing with him, too, you got to get that on-base percentage up. That's the one thing with him. That on-base percentage needs to be well into the 3s. I mean, him having the on-base percentage under 300 it's shit. It's trash. He can't do that.
I said this last week on the show, and then I saw other people tweet it. So, always have it here first, okay?
Okay.
That with Jazz, Dominguez, and Anthony Volpe, if these guys get on base at a 32 to 35% clip, you have combined easy without even blinking, not even trying. That's 110 stolen bases right there.
Yeah, and shit, if you get a breakout from one of these guys, I mean, I don't think anybody would be shocked if out of the 3 names mentioned, Jason, Volpe, or Wells, one of those guys have a shot of really breaking out. I believe that. I believe one of those guys could have a really big year.
And Wells is another guy too. I mean, he's not going to steal the bags, but you give him, what does their starting catcher get? 500 at bats, something like that. He can't hit 25 home runs.
Easy. I had somebody arguing me not that long ago saying he won't hit 20. Saying 20 is crazy. 20 is crazy.
What hit 13 last year.
He hit 13 and 300 and something at bats. I mean, yeah, the guy should easily be a 20-plus home run guy. And look, the way he played the majority of the year, I don't think it would shock anybody if he's a 260-plus hitter either. The guy's a very good player. He was in a brand new role that the Yankees, for some reason, decided to put him in to start the year, where he was sharing time with Trevino when everybody knew that was a bad idea, but the Yankees did it. And once he started to finally get reps and they turned it over to him, there was a point there for 2 months of the year when him and Judge were the best players on the team. Him, Judge, and Soto were the guys carrying the team during that time.
Yeah, I mean, he stabilized that cleanup position too for a good 6 weeks straight there. So I don't know how you feel about it, but I've been on record saying, if you take out that, we'll just say third base for right now. We'll assume that Jazz is playing second base because we don't really know who's playing third. If you take that position out of the lineup, you have 8 guys in this line. You have 8 guys in this lineup that can hit at least 20 home runs next year.
No question. And that is not underrating anything. I'm on record as saying I think Jazz could hit 30 with the Yankees. I think Jazz could easily be a 30-30 guy. He's a guy again. I don't 100 and some ABs.
I really don't need him to be a 30 home run hitter.
He doesn't have to be. No.
But
I just think it's his potential. I think that's how good Jazz really could be, especially at Yankee Stadium.
The thing that I've noticed about Jazz Chisholm is his swing gets too long. I think it's too long, and I think he's getting way too pull happy being at Yankee Stadium. And I think if he cleans that up, just get on. I need him to get on base. I need Volpe to get on base. I need Dominguez to get on base. Create havoc, man. That's why, last week, I was excited about this offense because I think people are looking at what we lost and not what we have here. And I know that guy was a given. You know what he was going to do. If he came back this year, you can pretty much write it in blood what he was going to give the Yankees this year. And all these other guys, you need to lend your faith a little bit to what's going to happen. But, okay, let's lend our faith to what's going to happen. Volpe turned into a 260 hitter that can steal 30 bags.
Yep.
Jason Dominguez, maybe he's not, the second coming in Mickey Mantle, but he's a 280 hitter that hits 25 home runs. It steals 30 bags.
Shouldn't shock anybody if he does that. I mean,
Cody Bellinger, who I'm telling you, I have very high hopes for Cody Bellinger, is a 30 home run hitter. You get the rebound from Paul Goldschmidt. He plays a good first base, hits 25 home runs.
It's all that's realistic. That's nobody stretching here for anything. That's all realistic.
Wells is playing. Wells gets a starting catching amount of at bats, hits 25 home runs this year. You have a younger, and somebody argue with me oh, Paul Goldschmidt's 37. How can you say they're getting younger? Because you have Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, and Jazz Chisholm are all under 27 years old in his friggin' lineup. That's almost half your lineup right there. Guys that are 26 years old or younger.
Yeah,
and Cody Bellinger's not an old man. He's 29 years old. You have a younger, more athletic team that can, if they get on base, can score in a variety of different ways.
Yeah, there's no way. I've seen that a lot from people that this is the retirement home Yankees. I'm like, you must never, you don't watch the team. I mean, if that's the case, you have no idea what you're looking at.
I get it with the Paul Goldschmidt signing. I get people saying, but if you really look at this team, it's not an old team.
And there's things that they've done in the past that there's things they haven't done in the past that this team should be able to do. Again, we saw what Jazz and Volpe did together on the bases, the constant double steals. That should be a normal thing. People tend to forget that Jason Dominguez stole 40-plus bases consistently in the minor leagues. That's an easy thing for him to do. So to have Dominguez be a guy that, if he's the leadoff hitter, and, Michael Kay broke it down pretty well. I think he didn't allude to his speed enough. I think he should have did a better job of talking about how fast Dominguez really is, because he's extremely fast. 40-plus stolen base again in the minor leagues multiple times. But again, Dominguez is a guy that walks a lot too. People forget how good his eye is. If he gets leadoff walks, Dominguez could be running. Jazz will be running. We already know about what Anthony Volpe could do. Yeah, there's no question. Anybody that's optimistic about this team right now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being overly optimistic about.
Are you going to argue with me when I tell you we have the best starting rotation in the American League?
Oh, it's us in Seattle, and I don't see why the Yankees wouldn't be the team.
And how do you feel about Luke Weaver and Devin Williams closing out games?
It's filthy.
And
I'm extremely excited about Fernando Cruz also.
Yeah, if you get him in the Matt Blake University during spring training, forget it. Well,
he's gonna go so heavy splitter, and people don't hit it. And look, a good people go, well, the splitter ends up in the dirt. Well, for most of the time, it looks like a fastball down to Johnson. So. It's a tough pitch to lay off of if it's as good as his is, and his is the best in the game. So the Yankees have a guy that has the best changeup in baseball, a guy that has the best splitter in baseball coming out of the bullpen, and then the weapons that Luke Weaver has.
He's
throwing
just a
97
wild
with a
jungle
great
cat,
changeup.
bro. He's just gonna rip your face off on the mound.
I'm telling you, man, the team is shaping up, and I look. If somebody were to come to me and go, yeah, but what are the cons? Okay, I could give you cons. I could give you what potential problems could be. But I'm choosing to be pretty optimistic about this team right now. And I really do. I really do want to see what the final move is. Because trust me, I think a lot of our opinions are going to change a little bit if they try to sell us on DJ LeMahieu. Because that you just can't do it. You can't do it at this point.
No.
So that's the last thing I need. Like, I want to be optimistic. You know, Yankee fans, listen to me here. I want to be optimistic, but I'm not going to be super excited calling this team when I say, oh, DJ LeMahieu's coming up and there's a runner on first and second with 1 out. What do you expect? And I'm saying the same shit again. Oh, here comes the double play.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Exactly.
I'd bet I give you 10-1 odds.
Israel Santana says, how you guys doing? We're doing good. Thank you.
Okay, we're doing all right.
Okay,
thank you for asking. Nobody ever asks. Nobody ever asks. They're always like, answer my question.
Yeah, they assume. They assume that we're always good. Maybe we're not, all right?
You never know.
Christian had two tough days in a row.
2 tough days. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. 2 tough days.
Okay. But yeah, so obviously things can go in a bad direction. Paul Goldschmidt is old. Cody Bellinger doesn't hit, you know, Wells was a flash in the pan. You know, you can always look at the other side of it. But
injuries, you know, that shit happens.
The way and the Yankees are playing the Dodgers in Los Angeles again next year, so you know.
Yeah,
that wall, you know,
leave that stupid wall over there.
He'll be back in right field next year. So, I mean, but I'm gonna look, man. We just made it to the World Series. I'm not going into this season thinking anything less than that this coming season.
I agree. And the American League got worse. I mean, I think that's a fair statement to make. I don't think the American League is anywhere near as good.
Yeah, and when I say that, people are like, "What about Texas? What about Texas? Even if Corey Seager stays, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Is DeGrom going to be healthy all year? I mean, look, if DeGrom is a healthy guy and he returns back to I'm the best pitcher in baseball and it's not even close, all right, cute. But guess what? They still got to beat us. We still got to play them. They're in a different division than us. We got to win our division, go into the postseason. They got to beat teams. We got to beat teams. So yeah, look, am I saying that the American League is all bad? No, not at all. Like I said, I think Seattle got a decent club. I think Baltimore got a decent club. Texas got a decent club. Houston, you can never really count out.
Shit, though.
That's the thing, and there's rumors that
they
may
might be
look to make
Luis Castillo. Yeah, I saw
which
that.
I could certainly see. I mean, they should be able to make that trade pretty easily if they.
But
really
they got
want
Corbin
to.
Burns last year, and I mean, how much did it really help them?
I'm kind of man. That new owner. I'll be honest with you, man. I thought that new ownership was going to put up a real fight. They didn't do shit.
No,
they didn't do shit. They had a lot of talk. They said they were going to go $70+ million up in payroll. I don't think they've done anything. I mean, how does maybe Corbin Burns had no interest in coming back? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Santander just seemed like a fit for them too, and doesn't seem to be interested in that.
Yeah, that's weird.
So, I mean, he's another deeply flawed player. He's not good defensively. He can hit you. His switch hitter is going to hit you 35, 40 home runs in a year. But I mean, I'm kind of glad the Yankees did stay away from that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I agree.
Before we switch off to the little Hall of Fame discussion I want to have you noticed this? And I want to see if you think that there's anything bigger going on here. That the Yankees have, you know, outside, they did make a significant offer to their former right fielder.
Yeah.
Right? They did do that. So there was there were things in the works that they had that they were looking to do long term. And I think they replaced that with the Max Fried deal, you know, but everything else that they're doing seems to be for the short term. Goldschmidt 1 year, Cody's only Max is 2. You know that option gets picked
not
up
long commitments.
Devin Williams is on a 1-year deal. Do you think what do you think is going on there? It's just that those are the players that best fit the team and were available, and that's just what it is, or you think that something's going on here that maybe we're not picking up on in 2026 and beyond?
I'll be honest, man. I think free agency sucked. That's what I really think it is. I don't think there was really anybody
outside
worth
of outside of him, there's really nothing out there that's really.
There was really nothing worth it. I mean, a lot of these guys have such, you know, there was really nobody out there like on both sides of the ball. You're like, I'll make a commitment to. Teoscar Hernandez has, outfield troubles. Santander is a horrible outfielder. And a lot of people believe that could be a fluky year. There's a lot of numbers that went down, doesn't have a great on-base percentage. There's really nobody out there that I looked at myself and I said, shit, I really wanted the Yankees to get that person. It's just not, it wasn't the year to lose 22, unfortunately, but they did. And I remember when it happened, I'm sitting there going, well, Fried's the guy. They got Fried. And then I'm looking around going, well, who else? I mean, Alex Bregman? Yeah, but do you trust Bregman that much in Yankee Stadium? Do you want to commit 5, 6, 7 years to him? I don't think so.
I mean, if you, in the two other, you look at everybody else that's out there, Bregman, Pete Alonso, Santander, these guys, or you would have thought would have commanded these big deals.
Yeah.
They're all still sitting there. It's January 9th already.
Yeah, maybe Bregman gets eventually gets the Boris special and does the 1-year opt-out. 3-year deal with opt-outs after each year.
And I've said that. That's how I would have approached Pete Alonso. I would have given him a 3-year deal worth $100 million. You can call me crazy if you want to. I don't care. But that's how I would have approached it. And I would have given an opt-out after each year. That's how I would have approached the first base situation.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if one of those guys accepted a deal like that.
And that's how. And now I think that Bregman is not going to age well, and I don't think he profiles well to be a hitter at Yankee Stadium. But if the Yankees did something similar with him, 3 years, $90 million opt-outs after each year, I'd be okay with that.
I mean, I think if you asked anybody right now, well, what's available? If you could have Bregman for the 2025 season at third base, would you want him?
Yeah.
I mean, bro, I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. I mean, to have an infield of Bregman, Volpe, Jazz, Goldie, I mean, that's one of the best of that. That's probably going to be one of your better defensive infields in baseball. With the Yankees pitching staff, they should be pretty damn good. But is that going to happen? Hey, who knows? Maybe they move some of this, the Stroman deal and something else, and something frees up. Who the hell knows?
It's just wild to me that the Yankees are on a friggin' budget. I'm not saying that you need to have a $400 million payroll, but you just went to the World Series, man.
That's my thing. And I don't, trust me, I've thought about this a lot, and I keep asking myself, but who would you go over for on that? And I just can't convince myself that there's somebody, because unless it's like we're saying right now, and maybe the Yankees would do that, unless, Bregman wants to be a Yankee. He sees what's out there and he goes, shit, man, I'd play for the Yankees for a year. If that's the case, and they approach in that regard, and they go, look, well, he wants a decent deal for maybe 1 year and an opt-out. Is there any way of making that happen? If that's the case, yeah, I'd go over for that. I just don't think there's much to go over for. I don't think it's even worth it.
So there's Crackle Nuts here with the super chat. Christian, do you think DJ LeMahieu is what can you what is that?
I have no idea. I'm not here. I don't have nobody on here that speaks Spanish with me, so I'm not even trying.
How you doing, Christian and Pete? Did you have a great day? Thin Mint Frosty out next month.
Fucking Crackle Nuts. What are you doing over there? Thin Mint Frosty out next month, man. Does he get notifications from the fast food restaurants of what's coming out next?
I am not a Thin Mint guy, and I've never been into Frosty, so you're talking to the wrong dude, man. I'm sorry.
Oh no, but that chicken Big Mac was phenomenal. He suggested that, and I loved it.
So, yeah, but okay, so you can get Bregman for $30 million for this year, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to go over.
I mean, you have to go over. Something like that. If there's nothing available, that you have to go over. There's no way you don't. You have to.
I would have went over for Pete Alonso. I'm being serious with you, man. I think Pete Alonso is much more of a sure thing, and he does have opposite field power, which is going to play well into Yankee Stadium. I'm not saying I wanted him for 6 years, but to give him that 3-year special.
Yeah. Yeah, when there was not a lot out there, I don't look. Am I upset with Goldie? Not at all. I like the move. I like it for 12. I think for $12 million 1 year, it works. There's going to be options next year available. I still feel like if the Yankees are getting involved with Vladdy, it could be another situation where the Mets are just going to break the bank for him, depending on what happens with Alonso. I'd be happy if Pete Alonso goes back to the Mets, to be honest. I really would, and I hope it's a multi-year deal.
So if Pete goes back to the Mets, it obviously takes him out of Vlad Jr. Do you realistically think
potentially, unless they feel he's a DH?
You think Vlad's really coming here?
I think it's a possibility, man. If the Yankees, if the Yankees like him in any way they like number 22, and they were willing to go that high, and they feel that Vladdy's that type of player, bro, come on, man. I take Vladdy in a heartbeat.
I saw he got, what was it, 28 and a half today?
28 million. He's going to get a lot, man. I mean, look at his age. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's, 26, 27. He puts up monster numbers. Last year, he was phenomenal.
I think they definitely did go 1 year at first base because they want to keep their options open there for next offseason.
That's what I'm thinking too. And a lot of people throw out Murakami out there. Murakami got a lot to prove this year. He has a shit ton to prove this year because he was better in the second half last year. But look, man, when you're that young and your team sends you down basically after you're the home run king because you couldn't stay in shape, I'm sorry, but that says a little something about your character, and I think people should be a little bit concerned about that.
Oh, I didn't know that, dude.
They sent him down. Like, they got multiple levels, and they could basically just have anybody go to, like, the practice level, basically, is what it is.
Because he was out of shape?
He was out of shape. He was horribly in shape. He was extremely overweight.
That's not good.
And they just said, hey, see you later. You got to go work out down there.
Yeah, Vladdy did say that he never would play for the Yankees, and then he backed off of that because his agent probably told him to shut his mouth.
His agent and his father. His father talked about it in Dominican Republic. He was like, it was just, no, it has nothing to do with him. And I told him that, the Yankees could pay you a lot of money. Shut up. And he's right. He's right. I mean, the Yankees are a big player. You don't want to sit there and act like you could never play. It was kind of funny, too, because you remember he shaved his hair.
Right.
Yankee series, like right around the trade deadline when it was Yankee rumors. And he immediately shaved his hair at that time.
Look, everybody, a lot of Yankee fans, myself included, can't stand the guy, but I'll tell you what, dude, I'll roll out the red carpet for him next year.
Look, man, I tell you, Vladdy's one of those guys, and Aaron Judge can't be a villain. It's like not in his nature. Other teams like him, other players like him. Vladdy's a guy that stirs the pot. It's nice to have somebody like that on the team that could actually back it up, and he could back it up.
Well, that's what 22 was, too, with the whole shuffling thing, and he talked a lot of shit on the field, and, there are players that don't really appreciate that, and that's fine, but, that's the one thing I guess the Yankees will be missing this year is that little extra flamboyance, I guess is the word. Which is fine.
They shouldn't. They're probably not going to be as flashy as a team. But look, when those W's are going up, who's going to give a shit?
And that's what I keep telling everybody. Oh, they're going to be the boring Yankees. Well, we just.
I'm not there to have them entertain me that way. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm there to see them play good, solid baseball and put up W's.
I just detailed a couple minutes ago how they won't be boring if these guys are, Volpe, Jazz.
They could be electric.
Electric, dude. You got three guys that can still combine 100 bases. That's
no doubt about it.
You still have Aaron Judge. You got an electric pitching staff, and I always say this: even if they win the most boring baseball games ever, that's what matters. Win 95 games, man. Get back to the World Series. Do you care how it happens?
No, man. Look, and do they still, a lot of people saying they still have players that, I look, we all like the antics. We all like that stuff. Look, they still got them. Jazz is going to be Jazz. Dominguez, we're going to see who he is as a regular player. The pitching staff are guys that are active.
He's such a boring guy. He's got no personality.
No, Jazz got the most. He had the most personality on the team last year. This year he'll be the same type of player. And a lot of times, guys like that even feel more
in his own skin this year too.
100%, and they're gonna have him all year. He's definitely already settled in with the club. So, yeah, man, I don't really concern myself with that overall. Is it fun to have guys on the team that start a ruckus or have certain antics they do? Yeah, of course, but shit. These guys could be very, very fun to watch day in and day out on the field.
You know what's fun to me? Winning.
I agree.
So, two guys that did a lot of winning with the New York Yankees are CC Sabathia and Andrew Eugene Pettit, who Andy Pettit's been on the Hall of Fame ballots for a few years now and hasn't made it. But I believe this is CC's first year. So I want to take this in two ways. Let me ask just Andy Pettit, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
with where they are now, yeah.
CC Sabathia, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Yeah.
All right.
And this is the issue. It's where the Hall of Fame has gone. Because to be honest, if you really want to be fair, you can make a strong case that neither one of them are really Hall of Famers.
Because now looking at the numbers, because I always felt ever since CC retired that I said he's a lock, 100% lock, right?
Yeah.
And I love Andy Pettitte to death. I do. He's one of my favorite Yankees of all time. He's probably unless Garrett Cole wins a championship here, I'm a big, that's my guy, but he's got to win a title here. Andy's my favorite starting pitcher ever to wear Yankee pinstripes, right?
Yep.
So if CC is a Hall of Famer, then you got to make the case for Andy Pettitte as well, because I'm a guy that said CC yes, Andy no. 62.3 career WAR for CC, 250 wins, 3.74 ERA. Andy, 60.2 WAR, 256 wins, 385 on the ERA. It's almost identical.
You know what's tough about this? And let me read the super chat from Crackle Nuts real quick. I'd rather have a guy do the DX suck it around the bases after a home run than a boring player. Maybe we see Bellinger do the ride the pony after a home run. Maybe we do, but I'll throw this one at you because it's funny. I actually literally just pulled them up, and I've heard about this before, and it's interesting because this is, again, what I said before. This is where the Hall of Fame has gotten to. David Cone, guess what his WAR is for his career?
Is it higher or lower than those two guys?
The same as CC Sabathia, about 200 less games started.
It's 62?
It's 62.3 and 419 games started compared to CC's 560 games started.
And I don't feel David Cone is a Hall of Famer. I felt
His
he
ERA is also way better, a 3.46 career ERA, 194 wins. But that's my point, right? Is that the Hall of Fame,
he doesn't have 200 wins.
He doesn't have 200 wins. But the Hall of Fame has gotten to a point of letting, I don't want to say bad. They're not bad pitchers. Don't get me wrong.
Like, look at Mike Mussina. I don't think he got in. I don't feel he was a Hall of Famer.
And again, you're letting guys in with much higher ERAs, than you would want for what's a Hall of Fame, which is the best of the best. You can make an argument that CC Sabathia was one of the best. He was never the best of his time. I think that's a fair argument to make. If I remember well, the one year that he had that was phenomenal was his contract year. When he went to Milwaukee and basically carried them offensively also.
But that's not that wasn't his Cy Young season.
That wasn't his Cy Young season. So he had the one Cy Young award. There wasn't a consistent time frame there where I really think you looked at it and said, well, CC Sabathia was by far the best pitcher for 5 years in a row. I don't think there was ever that moment. 2007
was a Cy Young year where he threw. Jesus Christ, could you ever imagine anybody approaching this now? 241 innings, and then in his walk year, he threw 253.
Yeah, it's crazy. And look, here's what I'm saying here. So 06 for Sabathia, 322. 07, 321. 08, 270. That's the year he won the Cy Young, I believe. Oh, no, it wasn't.
7 was
previous
Cy
year.
Young.
07. Then 337, 318, 338. There's not like the 280. There's not the 220 dominant years in a row. So again, Johan Santana, guys like that were absolutely
didn't have the longevity.
Exactly. But I'm talking about the best of the best during a multiple span. I don't think Sabathia was ever that guy. Not a knock on him. Don't get me wrong. But here's the other thing that people got to learn to value a little bit too. Where do championships count in this? Do championships count at all? I mean, I know it's an individual thing.
Well, he's got
Hall of Fame.
He's got one.
He's got one, but fucking Andy Pettitte got 5.
Well, that's now.
And he's a known. He has Hall of Fame stats for the postseason of most starts and all that.
Well, that's where you debate the two guys, right? First of all, is the 3,000 strikeouts an automatic lock? Is that like 3,000 hits? Is the 3,000 strikeout an automatic lock for you?
I didn't even consider that, but
because if it is, then CC's
should be.
Because if you look at he's got the Cy Young and the 3,000 strikeouts. So does that now put him ahead of Andy Pettitte because of that?
I mean, I think he's ahead of Andy Pettitte anyway. Either way.
And how much does the HGH submission hurt Andy Pettitte?
It's probably gonna hurt. It's probably gonna hurt him. Even though his kind of his kind of went under the rug a bit because, he said what his father got it was mainly for an injury. He wanted to come back soon.
Everybody likes him. He's a nice guy.
And everybody likes him, exactly. Because if you really want to go here, we can
Let's go here. Let's do it.
Let's fucking go here.
I know where you're going.
Everybody knows where I'm going. Kirk Schilling is better than both of these fucking guys. He's a Hall of Famer. And it's not even close. He is by far a better pitcher than both of these guys. Let's be honest here.
I hate to agree with you on that statement, but yes, absolutely.
I don't like saying it either, but look, being fair is being fair here. I'll pull up Kirk Schilling right now. Here's a guy who also had injuries. He played on some really bad teams. His career WAR is 79.5, 3.46 career ERA. The guy also has how many World Series titles? 3 World Series titles, 6-time All-Star. Never won a Cy Young, but I mean, unfortunately for him, he was paired with Randy fucking Johnson, so it wasn't like he didn't try.
Right,
and Pedro Martinez. So he came runner-up 3 times in his career. Kirk Schilling's a Hall of Famer. I don't give a shit what the guy has said. It has nothing to do with him being a performer on the field, like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to get into the character of some of the guys in the Hall of Fame, you'd be here all day and
there's some bad fucking characters in there,
and tearing plaques down all winter long here.
Facts. And look, don't get me wrong. Look, if that's the way you want to be, then you got to be that way across the board. And for me, again, I've been this way with the steroid stuff. I think all those guys are Hall of Famers.
Absolutely.
You can't tell the story of baseball without talking about 1998. 1998 saved baseball, made a lot of owners money. It brought baseball back to the forefront. To me, that alone makes Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire Hall of Famers.
But you also know the guys that did steroids, whether or not they are Hall of Famers. Like Barry Bonds, okay? He's not. We all know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Did he need steroids to be a Hall of Famer?
Not at all. Not at all. Look, people talk about how great number 22 is, how great he's been in his career. Go look at A-Rod's first 8 years. Go look at his first 7 years.
Did A-Rod need steroids to be? No, he didn't. Okay, you want to talk about a guy like Brady Anderson who had a 1-year boon? We all know he was juicing. Yeah, of course he doesn't
Melky
belong.
Cabrera, he won the batting title. He got popped. I mean, we're talking about guys here that were Hall of Famers. That were Hall of Famers their whole career, and they should still be.
Roger Clemens could shoot himself with 10 different types of anabolic steroids. He's one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
One of the greatest pitchers of all time, bar none. It's not even close. I'll give you a name if you want to talk about the Hall of Fame that is absolute bullshit. And I'll say this and I'll say it forever. The fact that Jorge Posada has not got a longer look is an absolute disgrace.
As an offensive catcher,
forget the defense side of it, but as a winner and an offensive catcher, there is a deserving.
And again, I love Jorge,
him.
but I don't get there with him. I understand the argument.
I do 100%.
It's hard to say it. It's hard for people to just, for me to say no, but and then people to say just like no, you're crazy for even thinking about it.
For him to get less than 5% and be kicked off the first time. That's horrible, man.
But I don't know. Horrible. There's got to be a way to revamp the voting too, man. Like, I don't.
Why don't they get it? My thing is, for me, why don't the players get a vote? Why don't the current Hall of Famers get a vote? Who are these writers that are putting these guys in and they're holding guys out because they don't agree with them politically or they don't like something they said? So that means that their whole entire playing career gets kicked to the side?
And then they don't even have you'll take one guy that's a steroid guy. Like Manny Ramirez, Jesus Christ, he's probably the greatest right-handed hitter we'll ever see in our lifetime.
He's right there with A-Rod and Pujols as by far just guys that were right-handed absolute threats, absolute terror threats to watch them. These guys are phenomenal. Like the idea that you keep these guys out, it's nuts to me.
But then they'll vote for one steroid guy but not another. Like,
yeah, I mean, look, David Ortiz got popped.
Come on, we know he did it. We know.
He got popped, man. And look, I know he's the nicest guy on planet Earth. I know everybody loves Big Papi. I get it. I understand it. But I'm sorry. I look, Gary Sheffield's a
belongs
Hall of Famer.
In the Hall of Fame, bro.
Just
he does.
because of the playing, but we want to talk about off the field. How many kids grew up doing his batting stance because it was so friggin' cool to see? Everybody did it.
Oh, come on.
Everyone did it.
I played wiffle ball, tennis, you name it, bro. Every kid I ever encountered
Everyone, man.
did it. Everybody.
Everyone. And that's the impact. If he sucked, that wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. He had everything. The guy's a Hall
got
of Famer.
500
Give him
home
his
runs,
time.
bro. I mean, come on, why? Because he
He's a
got
Hall of
tied up.
Famer.
He got tied up with Balco. Who cares, dude?
And to be fair, like again, there's never been like barely any of these guys have like legitimate strong evidence.
Except for A-Rod.
Except for A-Rod. and you know, there is some of the stuff with Clemens, if you believe that whole little trial that happened that time. And the ones that have admitted it, fine. But there's some guys out there like Gary Sheffield, for an example. He's come out many times to go, look, I never took a steroid. Never done it. I've never done it. I've never done this. Whether you believe him or not, I just feel like it's been long enough. You got to put some respect on these guys for what they did to this game, what they did in the game. And look, I believe if you ask the players, the majority of the players would also say these guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely, and I understand that the Baseball Hall of Fame is kind of like independent of like the entity of Major League Baseball. I get it, but think about where Major League Baseball was in 1998 and what steroids actually did for the game in 1998.
And by the way, they all friggin' knew. Everybody pocketed. They all knew.
He had steroids in his locker.
Yeah.
Mark McGwire, while he was being interviewed, you could see it sitting there plain as day. It's like,
they all knew. They all pocketed. And when the government came calling, what do? They turned their back on these guys. That's all there is to it. The least thing you could do for them is say you're Hall of Famers. I mean, thank you for what you did for baseball. I mean, that's the least they could do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that these guys aren't in, and I'll die on that hill that the steroid users, if they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. You know, we're
not talking about guys that had a 5-year span of being good, and then numbers were completely different. We're talking about guys their entire career, from all the body changes and everything, were phenomenal. People forget how good Mac was. McGwire had the rookie home run record before Judge and Alonso.
That's what I'm saying. You know, we've watched enough baseball. We've been around the game a long time. We know the steroid guys that are great regardless. It was their own egos that led them down that path. A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. These guys belong in the friggin' Hall of Fame. They didn't need this shit, and it pisses me off as a fan, as somebody that grew up in my formative years of like being a baseball fan and watching these guys, that they did this shit because it's keeping them from getting their rightful place and being enshrined in Cooperstown. They didn't need it. Like, you're a guy like Melky Cabrera or Brady Anderson or name 10 other guys that got popped that they needed a competitive edge. Fine, I get it, but like, you are the 1% of the 1%. You didn't need this shit.
Not at all, man. Not at all. And you know, hopefully baseball gets it right at some point, because it seems like it's a yearly conversation. I think the majority of fans are on our side on this one when it comes to these guys being in the Hall of Fame. I mean, look, what in 1998? Should I even remember the commercials? Remember the commercials? Chicks dig the long ball.
Right.
I mean, these guys friggin' did everything for the game. Sammy Sosa running out after 9/11. Running with the flag around the field. I mean, there's just so many moments. McGwire with the punching in the stomach, and you know, the home run celebrations with the Maris family. I mean, and I know they're not big fans of him, but he was 500 times better than their father ever was, and with one arm.
Don't even get me started on Roger Maris, please.
I mean, I'm not even trying to be a dick here, but Mark McGwire could have played with one hand only. He would have been 5 times the player. McGwire's a Hall of Famer. The guy was one of the top college players in baseball. I'm not saying that a guy like Jose Canseco's a Hall of Famer here. They played around the same time together. Mark McGwire is an animal. The guy was an animal. Even for a guy that nowadays you would say, well, was he like a Adam Dunn? No. McGwire still hit above the 250s, 260s, 270s even. These guys were pure hitters. They were pure hitters. Barry Bonds might be the greatest hitter of all time. I still remember, I still watched the Eric Gagne at bat. When Eric Gagne was pumping 98, 99,
oh
97s,
my God,
100s.
I remember that at bat.
And Barry Bonds hit a fucking piss rocket. to dead center, a bomb. I mean, out of the state, these were the best at-bats to watch. It's like kids growing up now and, oh my God, Aaron Judge is up. I want to see if he hits a home run. That's how we were with multiple players. 98, 99, all those years, it was phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, he wasn't home run or bust. He was 263 career hitter.
That's what
Mark
I'm saying.
McGwire.
Big Mac wasn't a home run or strikeout guy like a lot of people think.
Yeah, I mean,
his last couple of years, he probably shouldn't have ever played. But Mark McGwire was a friggin' unbelievable ball player. And I believe him when he says, look, without steroids, I still believe I was the same guy. I don't disagree with that. Maybe he was a 58 home run guy, 55.
Yeah,
60.
maybe. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't get 10 home run power to 70 home run power because of steroids. I mean,
well, he even said it. He said it's also, about hand-eye coordination. I could do all this. Like, yeah, that didn't just increase because he took steroids. Unless we'd all do it.
Yeah, like I'll go shoot. Let me go start a cycle now, and I'll show up in Tampa and see.
That's what I'm saying. I'll see how good my hand-eye coordination got because I popped steroids for 2 months. I mean, it's nuts. Guy's a 12-time friggin' All-Star.
I don't want to.
I mean, World Series winner.
I don't mean to talk ill about the dead, but Roger Maris is one of the most overrated players in the history of Major League Baseball.
No question about it. And
his number does not deserve to be
man.
retired. I'm sorry. I will. That's a hill I'm dying on as well. He does. It doesn't, man. I'm sorry. He had that. Yeah, I know MVP, 61, all that. I get it, but he didn't have the longevity here. He was never really. What did he ever do outside of that year? I mean, come on.
I agree with you.
The movie's phenomenal. I mean,
61's a great movie. Great movie.
But yeah, so just to wrap that up, you're putting both those guys in, CC and Andy.
Look, again, man, where the Hall of Fame is now, I think they'd both be. And if I had to choose one, I'd choose CC out of the two.
So you look at his career, Roger Maris. He had a 3-year run, 60. He had 39 home runs, obviously 61 and 61, and then 33 and 62. And then he never hit over 28 the rest in any other year of his career. I mean, he's an 822 OPS. I mean, that's good. It's not. I mean, you don't retire numbers of guys with an 822 OPS. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, come on. Maris was okay, but let's calm down. Like I said before, Mark McGwire could have pulled out his Johnson and was a better player. He could have hit with his Johnson and been a better player than him.
Like, you imagine, I would have loved, honestly though, and we'll wrap up the show here. I would have loved to have been alive for that, to see like.
It had to be amazing.
With Mickey Mantle, like that was the guy, right? That was the guy.
He was a superhero.
I always tell this story. Without Mickey Mantle, I'm probably not a Yankee fan. I think that's how the fan lineage started, is because my father's father was never home. He was a long distance truck driver. So my grandmother saw Mickey Mantle on TV playing baseball, fell in love with him, took my dad to Yankee games, and that's how it all started. So that's
my father's favorite player.
Obviously, like, I have a lot of love for Mickey. Being a guy I never saw play, obviously I have a lot of love for him, because if it's not for him, who knows, dude? Who the fuck knows what I would be doing right now? But
what a difference a time frame could have been.
I think the closest that we got something close to that maybe last year. So,
No, we did. And again, I go back to this, but that's why I want to keep that structure. I love the structure. And I think people are a little, I don't think people are as hype on Cody Bellinger as they should be. I think this is a really good player, and I think he's going to win a lot of these fans over.
Look, all you need to know is that he's got something to prove this year, because the guy nicknamed Dig Bick banged his wife, okay? So he's got to go out there swinging.
What a way to end the show.
He's got to come out swinging, bro, and letting
he has to have a better year than G, right? Yes. I mean, he has to. He has to have a better year than G this year.
How do you go home? At the end of the season, and you hit 230 and stand, maybe Bellinger being there, maybe Bellinger's wife being around is the elixir to Stan being healthy this year.
Maybe Stan has an MVP year again. He is 50 plus.
Seeing her around again, reinvigorates him, and he plays 150 games this year.
That would be wild. Imagine he has like his best year this year.
Whatever,
guys stealing bags again.
Whatever works, man. Whatever gets them back to the World Series.
Well, if he steals bag, trust me, something's up.
What happened? I don't know. Cody's like, I don't know. Where's my wife? I don't know where Stan is.
God.
I was the last time I made a joke about that. I was told I had to grow up. Okay, people have lives before. Yeah, okay, I get it, guys.
It's a friggin' joke. Everybody, calm down.
All right,
take it easy. Take it easy, folks.
Not everything needs to be so serious.
Exactly.
I'm sure Stan's on to. I would love to beat Giancarlo Stanton, bro, and just walk around town.
As an animal, man. He's literally
First of all,
animal.
They nicknamed you Dig Bick for a reason, right? That's your nickname. You got that nickname. Yeah. Other grown men saw you walking around naked in the clubhouse. That's what they decided to call you. And meanwhile, you just had a historic run in the postseason for the New York Yankees. I mean,
the dude was a fucking animal in the postseason. I mean, my God. What a
I would
beast.
love to see the single woman or married that would say no to Giancarlo Stanton, honestly.
I just want to meet him.
I want to meet you. I really do.
He's a beast, man. He is. He's a beast.
I love G, man. Like I said, though, if you only want to play 80 games this year, that's fine. Just make sure you're ready on October 1st. That's
all you need. That's all you need him for. Shit. That's all you need him for is October. Be ready for October and we're good to go.
All right. Well, we had a wonderful show tonight. Pete, always appreciate you sitting in, man. Sem, hopefully you're feeling better, man, that you're back next week. So who knows? Now we're in that just long phase of the off season here where we're just waiting. It's the 9th. Before we know it, though, the Yankees will be reporting in about a month, and then baseball will be back.
Can't believe it.
It feels like in some ways, it feels like the World Series just ended, and then we're basically a month
Still
away.
Feels that way to me, man. It feels like it just ended. We're a friggin' month away from spring training. Hopefully all goes well, folks. And like I said, we'll have a presence over there again in spring training. So that's the plan. Hopefully that happens. Just a quick little plug. All Rise tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., followed by later that night around 9:30 is what we're looking at right now. Maybe 9:30, probably 9:30. Bronx or nothing. Got you guys covered.
Okay. Everybody's on schedule here. All right. So
okay.
If you're still in the chat tonight, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on this Thursday evening. Please like this video, subscribe to NYY Underground, and if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, subscribe there as well. Tell everybody NYYST is the official Yankee podcast of Odyssey. I want to thank everybody, as always, for your continued support of NYYST and NYY Underground. Thank you. What episode are we on? This is 443.
443?
I don't know what it is, bro. I always
443, yep.
I'm like this close to the goddamn finish line and my mind goes blank.
Oh, guys, yeah, get your tickets March 29th.
Yes.
March 29th, get your tickets. Maybe Nestor's on the bump against the Yanks.
Yes, we'll be back in the Audi Club on March 29th. If you're still in the chat, Jared just dropped the link. Join us out in the Audi Club. We'll all be out there. We would love to see everybody. So thank you very much for listening and watching episode 443. Pete, say goodbye.
See ya. Michael K action, baby.
Then watch me do it again. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself. I ain't taking no loss. I ain't taking no loss. Look.